I'm such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.
Hello there, Price of Reason here with a movie review. Ever since Avengers Endgame, it's no secret that Disney Marvel's MCU has been in a constant state of decline, with the exception of perhaps Spider-Man No Way Home, which is technically a Sony movie, and Guardians of the Galaxy, which was pretty much a leftover production from 2018. Every movie that's come out since Avengers Endgame has been some type of diminishing return. And while it was always going to be difficult for Disney Marvel, led by Marvel president Kevin Feige, to sustain the type of success that the franchise had seen during its first 3 phases of the MCU, it's pretty obvious that Disney and Feige haven't exactly done themselves any favors over the past 5 years either. By transforming the most lucrative cinematic franchise of all time into a propaganda platform for trendy Hollywood agendas, they've continuously alienated their existing customer base, and even though the access media has tried to protect them, the numbers ultimately don't lie. Shang-Chi, Black Widow, Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man 3, Thor Love and Thunder, along with a bunch of Disney Plus shows, have all underperformed and have left Kevin Feige's MCU in a very tough spot. And in that sense, I don't think that the MCU's movie, The Marvels, could have come at a worse time for both Kevin Feige and Disney. For those who aren't familiar, The Marvels movie is a direct sequel, not only to the 2019 movie Captain Marvel, but also to the Disney Plus shows Ms. Marvel, Secret Invasion, and WandaVision. At some point of its conception, I believe that The Marvels was supposed to be a celebration of modern-day radical feminism that would highlight just how trendy and progressive Kevin Feige and Disney have become since Avengers Endgame. And while on paper and at cocktail parties in Malibu, this movie may have initially seemed to them like a great idea, over the course of its lengthy production, the movie was hit by many setbacks, with the biggest one of them being reality. You see, every single foundational aspect of this movie that Feige was counting on as a strength ultimately ended up being a weakness. For starters, while the first Captain Marvel movie made money at the box office in 2019, it was mainly because it was sandwiched in between 2 of the most profitable movies of all time and marketed as a crucial part of their story. In reality though, once the Avengers Infinity Saga dust settled, one thing became very clear. Brie Larson's Captain Marvel wasn't the success that Feige and Disney had hoped for. Captain Marvel's low merchandising sales and lack of repeat viewings after its initial theatrical run proved that neither the actress nor the character could ever be a proper replacement for the likes of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man in the MCU moving forward. And that's probably why the sequel movie, which started out with the title Captain Marvel 2, ended up being renamed and rebranded as The Marvels. You see, as a workaround solution, Kevin Feige had likely hoped to offset Captain Marvel's lack of popularity by teaming her up with 2 additional female superhero characters. Characters that would be introduced on Disney Plus shows WandaVision and Ms. Marvel, which would also help Feige build up hype for both the movie and Disney's streaming service. In addition, by giving Nick Fury his own Disney Plus series, Secret Invasion, that series would also work as a lead-in for this movie as well. Unfortunately for Feige, his entire plan completely backfired. Both Ms. Marvel and Secret Invasion ended up being troubled productions that went through extensive and expensive rewrites and reshoots, and neither of them were exactly a hit with viewers or MCU fans, and that's putting it mildly. And while Teyonah Parris's version of the adult Monica Rambeau was introduced on WandaVision, a show that did actually have some viewers, unfortunately, today she is best known for delivering one of the dumbest lines of dialogue to ever appear in the MCU.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
To make matters worse, the production of The Marvels itself was troubled, so much so that they seem to have shot the movie over and over multiple times in recent years, making the movie's budget balloon to $270 million, an amount of money that is already very difficult to recoup at the box office. And with its several release date delays, ongoing reshoots, rumors of on-set tension between cast members, a strange disappearance of the movie's director Nia DaCosta during post-production, and a bizarre media appearance by Brie Larson, expectations for this movie have been pretty low. But now The Marvels is finally here, and I've already seen it. In this video, I will go over the general plot of the movie, what I didn't like about the movie, what I did like about the movie, followed by my official score. The movie starts with a brand new Kree who's searching for armbands on some planet, but she only finds one armband and this annoys her. The other one is of course on Earth being used by teenager Kamala Khan, also known as Ms. Marvel. In addition to being a local Jersey superhero, Kamala also adores Captain Marvel, and she wants to be besties with her or something.
I'm your #1 fan.
Anyhow, Nick Fury's on a space station and he sends Captain Marvel to look into some anomaly of a jump point that has been created on some planet. Meanwhile, Monica Rambeau, the daughter of Maria Rambeau, who used to be Captain Marvel's closest friend, is also conveniently in space, and she also notices the same anomaly. This leads to an awkward situation, as Monica considers Captain Marvel to be her aunt, but there seems to be some drama between them, so they don't really speak anymore. Now, for those of you who don't remember, Monica Rambeau used to work for the government, but then she disappeared when Thanos made half of the Earth's population vanish. Then she came back, found out her mother had passed away, and then ran through Wanda's spell in WandaVision, which transformed her into the superhero Photon or something. Anyhow, it turns out that because the Kree Girl boss touched the armband and Monica, Captain Marvel, and Kamala Khan somehow absorbed her energy, they now keep swapping places with each other every time they use their superhero powers. This leads to an extensive segment in the movie that seems to last forever, where all three ladies are battling Kree soldiers and constantly switching places. This ultimately causes Nick Fury to round them up at Kamala Khan's family home, which has been destroyed by the battle. Since they keep swapping places, the only logical decision is to have all three ladies work together and travel with Captain Marvel on her spaceship so that they can work as a team and go resolve the problem. In the meantime, it seems like the Kree Girl boss is making a peace deal with some refugee Skrulls on a planet, but she really just intends on stealing their air. And in case you're wondering, yes, that is in fact the plot of the movie Spaceballs.
Commence Operation Vacuum Suck!
You see, she's actually using the armband that she found to create these type of teleporting portals where she can transfer her resources to her planet of Hala because they're on the brink of collapse. The ladies show up in time to rescue some of the Skrulls, but many are also left there to die in the process. The ones that are saved are now on Captain Marvel's ship, so she then calls King of Asgard Tessa Thompson, who dresses like a dude and may or may not be in a romantic relationship with her, although admittedly, this does seem rather ambiguous. As a favor to Captain Marvel, Tessa Thompson agrees to take all of the Skrull refugees with her, and then she f***s right off and we never see her or them again. In order to understand what the Kree Girl boss is doing with the armband, Captain Marvel, Monica, and Kamala all connect their minds electronically through some type of BS device, and now they share their thoughts and memories together. This shows us how Monica's mother felt when Monica disappeared and how Monica felt when she reappeared and nobody was there for her. This ultimately leads the ladies to bond as they hug each other, and soon after they become besties too. Then, in an unexpected twist, they go to a planet where everybody sings to each other, and they meet with the planet's leader, a singing K-pop prince.
You gotta be f***ing kidding me.
I almost feel like Feige saw that Barbie had a song in the movie and he added this thing last minute. Otherwise, I have no real explanation for this. In any case, Captain Marvel warns the K-pop prince that the Kree Girl boss is on her way to this planet, so he gives her and the other ladies battle suits that look like they were purchased on Wish.com. The ladies try to take away Kree Girl boss's armband, which would mean she would have no power, but they fail, and she steals the planet's water supply, so they run away. Why do they keep running away from people that need their help? Yeah, don't think about it. At this point, we learn that the Kree Girl boss considers Captain Marvel the root of her planet's problems. Due to Captain Marvel killing the supreme artificial intelligence computer that controlled them, a civil war broke out on planet Hala, and now they're in danger of becoming extinct. Captain Marvel feels guilty about being viewed as an annihilator, and she tells Monica it was the reason she ignored her for years. Why would some girl from Earth give a shit about Captain Marvel's interaction with some faraway planet that's doing shit things? Yeah, don't think about that either. Anyhow, Captain Marvel now believes that the Kree Girl boss is stealing the resources of any location that Captain Marvel has a connection with, so now she believes that Earth is in danger too. The ladies decide to warn Nick Fury, whose space station is now under attack. Conveniently, it turns out that there's now a bunch of Flurkin cats on board of Fury's space station, so he has them swallow all of the passengers on board. Apparently, he believes that this will make it easier to transfer the people back to Earth on a smaller ship, and then the cats will somehow barf out the people later on.
What the f*** is this?
Yes, this part is weird and dumb, but it is what it is. The ladies show up and tell Fury that Kree Girl Boss wants to steal the Earth's sun to save her own planet. The ladies then go for one final showdown with her, but when Captain Marvel shows mercy to her, she manages to gain the upper hand, threaten Kamala Khan, and steal the other bracelet she needed to become even more powerful. At this point, it seems to be too much power for Kree Girl Boss to have, as she creates a hole in the universe and gets destroyed by it. So basically, this entire armband idea was stupid as fuck, and the way it affects the universe feels random at best. But since Kree Girl Boss has left a hole in the universe, Monica then comes up with a great idea. Kamala will use the two armbands together, and along with Captain Marvel's power, they'll aim all of their fire on Monica, who will use it to seal the hole in the universe. Why does Monica think that this idea will work? I have no idea, as it's not really well explained. I was also a bit confused about the fact that it supposedly isn't good to use both bracelets, so why would Kamala be doing it if the lady before her ended up dying as a result? Maybe there was an explanation for this and I just missed it, or I didn't completely get it, but at the end of the day, this plan ends up working, and it ultimately causes Monica to disappear into the dimension at the other side of the portal, which makes Captain Marvel very sad. Nick Fury, who has landed on Earth, has the cats spit out the humans, so I guess his dumb plan worked. Kamala Khan arrives back on Earth solo and tells Nick that they lost Monica. As a result, Nick Fury decides to put Kamala Khan's family at Monica Rambeau's family farm in Louisiana. I mean, couldn't he have waited a few minutes before he did that? She's only been gone for like 5 minutes and he just completely takes ownership of her property. Captain Marvel then lights up the sun for the Hala people and saves their planet. Then in a callback to the end of Iron Man 1 where Nick Fury offers Iron Man to join the Avengers, the movie ends with Kamala Khan showing up to recruit Kate Bishop for an Avengers type of initiative. I guess this means that moving forward, these two little girls will now be considered the Avengers. In a post-credits scene, Monica awakens in an alternate universe where she's being tended to by Hank McCoy of the X-Men. Her mother Maria seems to be alive and a member of the X-Men, but this variant of Maria is the character Binary, and she actually doesn't know Monica. And that's where the movie ends, setting up some type of crossover event with the X-Men from the former 20th Century Fox universe for a future movie that most people probably couldn't care less about. Let's start with what I didn't like about this movie. Number 1, the writing. It's been a while since I've seen a movie with such bad writing, and while making this video, I genuinely struggled to explain this movie's plot. This very much feels like a movie that was hastily put together in the editing room in hopes of cobbling together some type of coherent narrative. But that's exactly what happens when you keep reshooting the same movie over and over again in different ways. As a result, it ends up being both very dumb and very convoluted. Things just seem to happen here, and they feel very random because there's rarely any build-up, or perhaps in some cases, the narrative is just poorly explained. For example, if Captain Marvel could restore the son of Hala, why didn't she already do it years ago? Did she really need Monica Rambeau to literally tell her, "You go girl," to believe she could do it? Am I to understand that entire civilizations with people have been destroyed because Captain Marvel was too lazy to realize that she was powerful enough to help them? And if the ladies kept switching places, why didn't they try holding each other's hands while using their powers in unison? Maybe they could have somehow increased their power and also stabilized the switching problem? And why did we have this switching idea appear throughout so much of the movie? It got old really fast, but the writers just wouldn't let it go. And why is Captain Marvel married to a singing K-pop prince aside from Disney wanting to market this movie to a certain demographic?
And we've got to pander harder!
I mean, talk about left field here. And that's nothing against the actor himself, who didn't bother me, but his presence here just seemed extremely shoehorned in. And why was Brie Larson's voice so heavily auto-tuned in this movie when she actually sings in real life? Didn't she start off her career as a singer? Also, where did the Flurkin cats come from? If there was an explanation to how and why they conveniently arrived on Fury's ship, I guess I just missed it, or maybe that too seemed to come out of nowhere. And why would Kamala Khan's family agree to relocate from Jersey to Louisiana? They're members of a certain community and seem to have roots there. Why would they just get up and walk away from everything? What about their jobs? And why does Nick Fury act so drowsy these days? Remember when he was badass? Honestly though, the writing in this movie is such a mess that at some point, you kind of just give up on asking questions because it's almost not even worth the energy. This movie at times seems so nonsensical that it feels like a Fast and Furious movie in the MCU, but with no men, no cool action scenes, and no fun. So as opposed to Fast and Furious, it's not even a guilty pleasure type of movie. It's just bad. Very bad. Number 2, the scope. In recent years, Kevin Feige has really fallen victim to the idea of MCU connectivity. He's been so desperate to connect between all of his different MCU movies and shows that he completely forgot that sometimes you have to let individual stories breathe. The Infinity Saga Avengers movies only succeeded because we got to know each character separately through more personal adventures outside of the team-up movies. Then, when there was a team-up movie, the viewers were already invested in the different characters as well as the entire team itself. Sometimes you need that. Also, between different galaxies and multiverses, everything feels so much less grounded these days. Why can't we see some more stories taking place on Earth? I also think that it's become increasingly unclear which superhero has what capabilities. What exactly are Monica Rambeau, Kamala Khan, and Captain Marvel's powers? I mean, I feel like at this point, it's just whatever the screenplay needs them to be. And finally, it's becoming more and more frustrating how much homework you have to do to watch anything MCU related. Going into this movie, I could barely remember what had happened in Captain Marvel 1, let alone Miss Marvel, WandaVision, and Secret Invasion, which all sucked by the way, so I really wasn't planning on watching them again. The MCU really needs to have some more standalone stories because watching this franchise has become a chore in recent years, especially when the overall output has been so consistently poor. Number 3, the visuals. When you're constantly making changes to your movie leading up to its release, it's pretty obvious that some of the visual effects won't look as good as they should, but in this movie, their low quality is rather obvious. The fights all seem rather flimsy and lackluster, and everything just looks like it was filmed on Disney's digital green screen system, the Volume. By the time we get around to the final fight scene, it looks like something we could see on a CW show, which is surprising because Marvel used to be much better at doing this, and even though their technology keeps getting better, their VFX somehow just keep getting worse and worse. Number 4, costumes. I don't quite know how to explain it, but I've seen better costumes worn by cosplayers at conventions than what we see here in this movie. I mean, was it really so difficult to put a little bit more effort into wardrobe? The ladies just look like they're wearing colorful leotards, and don't even get me started on that planet with the singing people who are dressed like they belong in an entirely different movie. Number 5, reshoots. When I watched the movie, it seemed like the actresses looked different in different scenes, and it's probably because of the reshoots that took place over the course of a few years. Especially noticeable is Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau, because she was pregnant while filming reshoots, something that was brought to my attention by Script Doctor on Midnight's Edge After Dark. And indeed, they have to make a pretty big effort to cover it up. Now, I suppose if this movie was good, I could have let this one slide, but it wasn't, so I won't. Number 6, soapy drama. It's fine to have some emotional moments, even in a superhero movie, but the amount of soapy drama here feels like a full-on teeny CW drama, and you know what they say, never go full CW. I mean, how much weeping and girly drama do we need here? This is way too much and it doesn't help the movie in any way, shape, or form. Number 7, the villain. Once again, it seems like Disney Marvel was going for a sympathetic female villain, and once again it falls flat. This probably could have been easily avoided because from what I recall, Jude Law's character from the first Marvel movie was still supposed to be alive, so why not expand on his story? I mean, don't get me wrong, that first Captain Marvel movie wasn't very good, but the one thing that I remembered from the first movie is that she defeated Jude Law and sent him back to his planet. That already makes him a more organic villain without having to introduce an entirely new character. And Jude Law is a decent enough actor, he totally could have done something here. Now, even though I think that The Marvels was overall a very bad movie, there were at least a few aspects of it that I thought were good, and as a reviewer, I want to be as honest as I can about stuff like this. So let's talk about what I did like. Number 1, mostly agenda-free. Throughout this movie, there's one thing that I did actually enjoy. As poorly as it was written, at least it didn't really lean heavy on all the agenda stuff we've grown accustomed to in recent years. While there is diversity in this movie, something that I've never had an issue with, the diverse characters aren't constantly talking about their diversity or making any type of divisive social or political statements. This may seem like a minor detail, but while watching this movie I couldn't help but feel that perhaps Disney, for the first time in a while, is genuinely starting to worry about their bottom line. Perhaps as a result, part of their extensive reshoots were aimed to remove all of their usual anti-male rhetoric and identity politics that we've seen in recent years. I mean, I assume the people that are working at Disney these days are the same annoying people that were working there 5 minutes ago, but perhaps all of Disney's recent losses are actually starting to have an effect on them. It's almost as if they have no choice now but to try and listen to their actual customers. The problem is they've alienated so many of them that I don't even know how many of them are left to give them another chance. Another problem is that that even though they likely edited out all the agenda stuff from the movie, it's still awful, and there's still no men in it. Like with Lucasfilm's Ahsoka, it's a girl boss on girl boss extravaganza with no male presence in sight to balance things out. And yes, I know Samuel L. Jackson appears here as Nick Fury, but he barely does anything here and his presence feels very toned down, much like what we saw in Secret Invasion. He certainly doesn't act like that very confident and assertive guy we knew from the past. Number 2, the cast. With the exception of the Kree Girl boss villain, I actually thought that the cast in this movie did the best they could with the material they were given. For starters, and I know this may surprise some people, I think Brie Larson gives her best performance here to date as Captain Marvel. Now I know that it's a very low bar to clear as she previously seemed rather awkward and stiff in the role, but I do feel like she really put in some work this time to give the character and herself a more likable presence. I've always thought that Larson is a decent actress outside of the MCU, and whatever she did here was definitely an improvement. I think that Teyonah Parris is a decent actress too, and certainly has a natural likability to her, which is fine for this type of genre. Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan is also naturally likable, and brings a more youthful and fun vibe to the movie, which certainly doesn't hurt. And in spite of the press reporting about some potential behind-the-scenes drama, I thought that these actresses worked rather well together. Samuel L. Jackson is definitely a good actor, and that's obviously no surprise, but at this point he's pretty much just collecting a check here.
What's in your wallet?
And maybe that's what makes this movie rather frustrating. If you would have given these actors a script that wasn't so crappy, there was something to work with here. But the setup and execution here is just so poor that the movie completely misfires on every level. Number 3, music. I've never heard of composer Laura Karpman before, but I think that the way she scored this movie was pretty good. It reminded me a bit of the style of veteran composer Alan Silvestri, who did the Avengers movies, which I like. I mean, I wouldn't say she's necessarily on Silvestri's level, but she is certainly competent, and she does get the job done. All in all, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this movie to anybody, and considering that it cost over $270 million to make, I would say that it's nothing short of a complete disaster for Kevin Feige and Disney Marvel, one that is destined to become yet another 2023 box office failure for Disney. But if nothing else, at least it's a rather non-offensive disaster, and I am somewhat comforted by the fact that it's going to lose Disney money because it's a bad movie, but not because it attacks viewers in the process. And while this movie isn't likely to be an all-ages crowd pleaser, at least some little girls may like it. If I had to give this movie a score, I would give it a 40 out of 100, which means that it's another Disney fail. What did you think about The Marvels? Did you love it? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel, and also clicking on that wonderful notification bell. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.